The next talk about them so that they can do the intro. We don't get the double up. That's where we keep going.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much. Great intro. I think we got about 30 minutes. Moved to Montreal. The 90s bubble. When I went to a startup networks, you probably have a lot of what we do. Recent investments, High Five, distributed companies. You guys should absolutely use High Five for video conferencing. Involved in a company called Netscope, founded by a Canadian, which is based over here. He's actually an ex who started this company about four years ago.
During my tenure at Berkeley, I got to venture partners. They gave me a job and a bit of a Salesforce speak, about 60 million raised, but Salesforce because VC looking pitch because I the product a lot. I'm an engineer by training. I was in Queens, and so I love the product, but I also ran marketing style and kind of experience for me. So we're 16 years in now. We're pretty big actually. We have about 17,000 employees. We just joined the not going to be trusted by the buyer because that's just one of thousands of examples. You know, you have to kind of embrace a broader set of requirements than just being a product purist. And that's changed all of us who started out early to become practical. We've had, you know, you talked about the ecosystem. It just takes some adjustment to become a real company. Companies like Gartner to say they're legit. To have a set of software inside your stack that you guys say, hey, that's okay. So, you know, we pull through Oracle. However, there are always apps who's there. You know, they're
strategic investments that Salesforce took.
Try to get representation from the big five SIs. So, for the first 5 to 10 years, for example, it was almost considered, you know, a must-do extension with some of these big point where it's like, gosh, if I build my own distribution engine, that's $200 million of investment. It's just going to slow ability.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're in a period of time, I would argue, where it actually costs very little to get a company started, right? Thanks to Amazon and, you know, all of the APIs that you can tap into. So you don't necessarily need to go and build all of the infrastructure that these guys had to build back in the 90s. Indications of product market fit, not your product market fit, but indications of market fit, fairly just playing with it. But the problem or challenge companies that we see is eventually very smart about go-to-market, and then you're making a choice. You're going to spend, or you're going to go direct. Certain pros and cons. What are your thoughts on pros and cons on those?
Yeah, definitely. Evernote, Dropbox, everybody uses them, right? And Evernote, Dropbox kind of went the freemium route and said, I'm going after the enterprise, be different from Box. I'm going to go after the security and all the distribution engine. Now they've raised a bunch of money and they've built a distribution engine. Playbook is yet to be seen. I mean, I think a lot of them hit great price, all three of them, and yet none of the three really have nailed, you know, kind of, are they really going to be a huge, important enterprise company? They're definitely very meaningful consumer companies, and we ask entrepreneurs to come to us, are you going to go that route or partner with a company? And that's a good question. So we have, we love to partner too. You know, we have something called the App Exchange, which is kind of an enterprise version of the App Store. We have companies on there who build on our platform and inherently benefit from a little bit of value by sitting on top of the platform because they instantly inherit a bit of a payment by distributing their app built on our platform. And so there are companies who generally do participate in these types of platforms. I know Salesforce does this. I think the other companies do this. And I'll start with the investing and come back. So over the years, we've made about over 100 investments too in enterprise. It's actually a strategy. And they would often ask, well, hey, since I'm invested in your, help me raise the 500 grand to $1 million. We developed a rhythm where we against expert enterprise VCs like ours. So we said, if you can attract, you know, them, all the hard, and up to a certain point actually. And so there's a very clear between what they do and what we do, because they like to take, they'll take 30% sometimes. You know, we almost never want 100% because we don't want to have to take on your P&L basically, you know. They often represent limiteds and board seat and pretty deep involved. We almost don't even want a board seat, although we want a little bit of observance to see what you're up to. So we're often very compatible in investing, and that generally enables a better partnership if these types of happen. Because now we know you're plausibly funded to hit the wall and disappear overnight. You're already built on our platform, and they could turn into partnerships, reseller arrangements. They could turn into things. And generally, those are the ones that get the most attention from us.
Yeah. I get a lot of questions about, should I take a strategic investment? Is this sort of a path to acquisition? Yeah. You obviously haven't done 100 acquisitions, no. Or you haven't acquired all of them. So how should you think about, sort of the signaling of taking a strategic investment from a large corporate, whether it is you guys or some other company like an or Microsoft, the signaling to the market, what that means for the company's future? Are they essentially, are you putting in money to essentially, is that a potential signal that could be?
If I were in the entrepreneur's shoes, I generally would take the smartest money that you can find, and if the smart money is on the corporate side, or the ROFR, right of first refusal, generally that we don't even want that. Triggers our own accounting opportunity to participate in a bidding war for an acquisition.
Yeah.
And that's generally in everybody's best interest to give us that notification because we're plausible acquirer.
Yeah.
And usually doesn't have a problem. And so, yeah, I'd like to think it's win-win if if you take our money, especially if we bring brains to the table that you value. So because we have lots of, you get a lot of skills from the enterprise VCs for sure, but skills complementary around operating too. So building a go-to-market in enterprise is not a simple project.
Yeah.
It takes years, lots of connections, and a lot of people say, hey, teach me how to build a go-to-market that I can afford, and in that way too.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about areas of investment or areas of interest, desk, cloud, et cetera? So,
and so if it's related to our customer, helps you connect to customers in new ways. We want to learn about all of what you're doing because that's really what we are going to try to be. And whether we partner with you, invest in you, or just learn from you, these are meaningful to us. Have around, and it was a great co-browsing app that helps you connect with customers through a browser. It was really compatible with our Service Cloud offerings. So boom, a good thing. In order to make sense of all this, you need to analyze and get insights into your data. And so one of the deals Lightspeed led was EdgeSpring.
EdgeSpring, yeah.
And we were so in love with that we ended up buying the company after you did the Series A. And
well, that was an interesting story. The founder was CTO of Salesforce at the time. So,
yeah. Well, tell us about the story. Has that worked?
A lot of what we do at the Series A or seed level is individuals. One of the exceptional individuals that we were introduced to was Vijay Chakravarthi, who was, at the time, he had sold a company to Salesforce, a CTO at Salesforce. You've got multiple CTOs at Salesforce. We were introduced to him. We had a great conversation around where the world is going in terms of business intelligence. Basically spent 9 months with him. I don't know if you knew that, but 9 months, really, what does enterprise BI look like over time? And then eventually he left. When he left, we said, let's Salesforce you guys, I think, analytics, right?
Absolutely, and I'd love to think this is a happy story because, and EdgeSpring, let's say 0.7 to that led by you guys, and he was reaching this point where he's got a nice product market fit. Should I go and raise more money? On the other hand, or can I join a bigger force, accelerate even faster, and maybe even the outcome personally for the founders is not even that dramatically different.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to even describe that because a lot of people don't even get that selling out early is a bad thing, But maybe you.
I think this is a really interesting thing. But as founders, is hey, we live in the tech now where every single year it's more of a milestone in the company journey, and at every single point in time, you as founders need to be thinking, okay. And what do I want to, and it's the first, at Series B, and that's going to cost you 20 million bucks. But it's also going to cost you some dilution, right? And then you go and get your 15 to 20 sales teams, and you get to about 10 million in recurring revenue, to 30 million in recurring. And so now you've got to increase that sales teams to about 30, maybe 40. So now you're looking, raise another 25, maybe 35 million. Okay, that's some more dilution for you. And so at every step of the way, there's if you're in a huge market, if you're in a market where you've got a sustainable advantage, and you can get and you can see the through line to, building a great standalone company, and that is what you want. You should up and down 101 here are, I hate to use a word, but they're insane entrepreneurs who basically said, I'm going to walk through walls. Hey, Series A, I'm going to take 20 and 40%. Series B, I'm going to take another 20% dilution. Series C, I'm going to take another, call it 10 to 15% dilution. So although the pie is getting bigger in terms of your valuation, and your slice of the pie might be getting smaller, overall your should be getting bigger. But at every point in time, you should also think about, if there's a sales force who's going to give me leverage, going to make me take the dilution, should I do it, right? And mention that VCs and entrepreneurs in the company's ear, hey, why would you even take 20 to 25% dilution? It's going to, you're actually looking at 40% dilution, because to build your company, to get aggressive in the enterprise space, there is a well-trodden path to get to $2 to $10 billion worth of market cap that is to the new school companies. So again, I think you need to look yourselves in the eye and say, all right, do I have a company, a market, the product where it makes sense to take the and keep going? And frankly, every step of the way,
It's one
logical route.
and then you take out your ego and kind of think through. It's because I'll give you an example. I'm trying to come up with a good example, but the one that comes to mind is name all the file sharing companies that like Drop and Box, or everybody. There were probably 20 to 30 at the time, and how many totally didn't make it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, especially if you're a company in Halifax, or somewhere where you're I don't think I'm going to build a better go-to-market engine, outpace all. I'll give you actually another. In mobile, what's the one that VMware called? AirWatch, Mobile Iron, and then there's 60 companies. You guys know what MDM is, mobile device management? A distribution engine. So this is the salespeople, and they're all varying costs. The big elephant hunters Arif was talking about that land huge $10 million, and we were business freemium. So we decided the predictable model is people pounding the phones from a call center. And so that was well-established industry. So two-tier model, actually a one-tier model, just tell us if you study all of our, all with varying comp, all with varying transaction times, and but they're all kind of shaping a whole funnel, an opportunity. And it's too much of a conversation here, but how you want to structure your funnel.
Right, and what they did incredibly well was measure what works for them. So there isn't a there isn't a form Salesforce. How many people? Thank you. Easy to find us.
We're grinding it today.
Yeah. Thank you.
So much. That's really great. I'm going to take that off.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea.
Really appreciate it.
Could have walked out with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Then you'd be
between
streaming
you
live the
guys,
entire time.
one last
I
talk.
don't think we're going to need
It's
We
for
need
live
the,
streaming.
Video.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Look at you, look pretty, lady.
So
do I
one
do?
last talk. Talk to you
Yeah.
about a
Where
couple
am I?
things
You.
at lunch. We're gonna do tomorrow.
Wherever you want to.
Click it on.
Okay. Thank
To
you.
round things out, and no in any way, shape, or form, the amazing and incomparable, outstanding, and many other things. Debbie Landa.
A problem that we solved was allowing people to buy products online, ship them to physical locations in grocery stores. It says, hey, your package is ready for pickup. It's convenient for you. A lot of our locations were 24/7.
So you got into YC.
Yes,
I understand it was life-changing for you.
absolutely.
What does that mean?
It was life-changing for me personally, and it was life-changing for the company. It was life-changing for the company because it connected us otherwise never would have been able to connect. Y Combinator has an amazing network of previous founders and current founders. They created an amazing competitive environment while we were, and more importantly, everyone who's anyone pays attention to Y Combinator. And so if you want to talk to anyone in the Y Combinator network is going to be able to connect with them most likely. That's why it was life-changing for the company. During Y Combinator, we smart, we landed sellers, we did our, I never would have expected to talk to the people that I was able to talk to. I mean, if I ever learned that I would let alone be talking to Ashton Kutcher, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said that I would have needed to spend $10 to see him, let alone have him want to invest in the company that I was building, or even spend time talking to me.
You reminded of a Matt Damon?
Movie together.
Awesome. Okay, so you got to these fabulous people, but with the understanding.
What are you going to tell them? That's scary. And so we got multiple 10 meetings after that first one. And then what works?
What the valley is like, or what you think it should be like.
We're down here. And you don't need to start right at the top. You don't need to come home from your first trip with a check. It's really okay. You start from somewhere, and you just need to network, and each person is going to introduce you to more people. If you do your research, everyone needs to have a network that's and someone else's network isn't necessarily the right one for you because of what you're working on or who you know or what you want to get. And so there's no like rule book for how to build a network. You just need to start. Talk about what you're working on and what you want to get. You're going to find the people connected to.
Brings me to this wonderful thing here, which is about social proof, social currency.
Absolutely. So every time that's something to an investor, for example, and that investor ends up, I gained
Triple the amount, though.
yes. And when I go and try and make an intro to him the next time, or her, I likely social proof. Will get intro to me.
We have in common. My power is more than his. And so you have to really determine what you're asking from someone and how close that relationship really is. And you know, he might not be liked by us down here on building relationships. And it seems to really for everyone, mostly youth. How do you build a relationship with as many people as you possibly can in a time when you don't?
So a couple. I didn't time. We went to Y Combinator, and I was obviously sure you can.
Let's talk about personality types. We're all Canadians here, and we are notorious for being really lovely people. We don't brag, you know. We're just very kind. We're fun. We're engaged. What do you need to have as a person that really make it down here? That it's okay to ask them pretty much anything, even if God, I really want to ask it.
Just preface what you're something to that effect. Ask it, and then it doesn't seem as bad. But I think I really value my time, and when people waste my time, I don't like this. Those are people I want to be connected with.
Which brings me to.
We can talk about meetings, but I think just people have done.
So if you're coming down here,
I'm booked. So I think you have heads up. Like when you tell me that I'm a busy person, I like that because I'm a busy person. So yeah, you respect me. And then I'm that much more willing to something like the worst thing. Why do you pain in the ass? And it's usually how things just like drop off. And Clara, I don't know if you've ever heard of Clara, but it's a system that does this.
We were talking about Clara last night.
There's literally a state in please like dead hole this, and Clara will continue to you and never arrange a time with you. Literally, they'll just say, "Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. How does this work?" Like literally, that's easy for me. But if you just some like 11 a.m., then I'm like, probably not as serious.
By the or like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, you will get a response deal. But at nighttime, for some reason, it really works, or in first thing in the morning.
And everyone responds to emails with
I need here ahead of time, advance notice?
It depends on the person, really. Like sometimes then you're respecting that person's time instinct. Best friend of mine has the warrior instinct. There's a reference him in email. Talk about whatever you need to do, you're going to find a way. Prove that to someone, and that to me is what I call the word to.
And they don't answer.
That's right.
Okay, so last thing, and then we'll go to Q&A if we have time.
Black turtleneck, you know. No, I didn't do that. There is one story, though, that I want to talk to people who are. So if you put yourself in their shoes, they probably talk to people who are Mallory. I was like really impressed with. She sent me an email last week. We haven't talked in like maybe a year. And she sent me a note and said, "Hey Mike, I noticed you're going to be talking at the 48-hour event. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to catching up." Nothing needed from me. I didn't even need to respond to that if I didn't want to. Like, oh, so excited to catch up. I'll see you there. It planted a seed in my head that I was like, I'm going to be there. I'm excited to hear what she's up to. And it was just like mind share. And I didn't feel like it was all on me. It was kind of like, oh, nice. I know one person that's going to be there. Those are the types of things that you need to do to start building those relationships. And I don't think at all. So, and she clearly did her research because she looked at an event she was going to go to a week before, looked at some of the speakers. Joe.
Cool. Do you guys have any questions? Ooh, excellent.
Yeah, so I've actually been an indirect investor. But anyway, an LP and I know it. Anyway,
Awesome.
So how has your building the network changed from being with Bufferbox, a meeting company, versus now being with a massive company like Google? And another question is, how have you as an entrepreneur melded into?
Haven't changed at all, because I wouldn't want to. Why is this person going to want to talk to me? I have nothing of value to give to them, and I do really respect people's time. So I won't reach out and just catch up, because people don't want to do that. They're like, "What are you doing? Are you working on a new company?" Valued from having a network. So how can I start to build in companies that wanted to talk to LinkedIn? So I felt like talking to this LinkedIn corporate development person would be valuable to them because I have much about Canada, and they do want to talk to people just on there. So I would say change for me. Just like I said, everyone has their own network for whatever reason they're working on, they want to do. Me and change, so has also changed.
Go ahead.
Hopefully.
What you alluded to by saying, like, just pretend you live here.
Mm-hmm.
If we're trying to build businesses in Canada, you know, how do
Don't justify why you're in Canada in an email. Like, they're just going to be like, don't want anything to do with them. Sell yourself first and make them want to get involved in with what you're doing, and then you can tell them about why you're in Canada. Jeff Clavier, I think Vidyard was the first Canadian company that he ever, and there was a big Canada, but Michael Litt had to sell him on that, and selling himself. Jeff Clavier couldn't not get involved in Michael Litt, so he had to get over the obstacle of investing in Canada. That's what you have to do.
And that, like, I can use my personal case. Like, a lot of times people don't know where I live. And when I had a team here and I was running a team, a lot of people, do you live in Vancouver or Seattle? And
in your Seahawks jersey, for example.
Yeah, so that now, but.
Well, also, I think it's when you write that email that says, "I'm a Canadian company coming in the Valley." Well, you've now just, you put it out there. Don't say company. You're just a tech company, and you want to meet. You don't happen to be in town. You just want to meet. You could live here. What would you say if you lived here? It doesn't matter. You're trying.
Shopify guys don't say, "Hey, from Ottawa." They say we're Shopify, right?
Yeah.
All right.
There is one more thing I wanted to say.
Oh, please.
One more thing.
I'm
okay,
sorry.
I'm letting him do one more thing. Just unbalance the introduction.
I'll make it quick
Mike
because
is going to close.
I know we're keeping you from lunch. I'm a Canadian. Help us help you. Don't ask for intros that we don't want to give. Ask for intro so and so. It's the last thing I sounds.
Timothy,
Sorry.
Mike, thank you very much. Big round of applause.